Hey everyone, it's Jess, and this is your lower body flexibility routine. Today, we're going to get started doing a little more active of a stretch. So we're going to start with one of those toes pressing in, hand supporting it, and we're going to bring one leg out. We're going to keep those hands into the side. You might already feel a stretch. And then we're just going to go ahead and switch, putting those toes up. Try to get your chest a little bit tall. We're just going to switch back and forward. Stopping, getting a nice little stretch along the way. You can really put a lot of weight through your hands as you switch. Just try to stay a little bit mindful of your back. You don't want it to be like too rounded. You still want it to be pretty straight the whole way through. All right, so as you get this nice little stretch going, I'm going to read our verse for today, which is 1 Corinthians 16:11. Look to the Lord and his strength. Seek his face continually. I just want you to take that in for a quick second. And then just think about just God and what it really looks like to look to him and to seek his face and really to trust him and to allow that trust to be your victory. Because he always pulls through. He is a God of his covenant. He's a God of his word. All right, we're just going to switch back and forth one more time. So your last little stretch over here. Then we're going to come back over. All right, good job. So now we're going to start in a nice low squat position if you can. And then pressing our hands into the floor, we're going to try to shoot our booty up and try to straighten those legs and go back and forth. Try to relax your head and neck when you fold forward. I'm going to go to the side so you can get that view too. So here, and lifting up. As you can see, my legs aren't totally straight, which is totally okay. But my stomach is connected to my legs the whole time. What's really interesting about this verse, and it's also the same verse in Psalm 105:4, is that right after it, it's a remembrance of God and his promises and that he always pulls through. All right, so we're just going to do two more. All right, and your last one. We're going to relax into hands and knees. So you're going to go ahead and put one leg out in front. You can always walk it over with your hand. Walk that leg back a little bit. Make sure your hip doesn't rotate out. Make sure it's pointing to the ground. And we're just going to stretch here, really concentrating on stretching this hip flexor over here on your back leg. You can try to squeeze your glutes, try to drive your leg into the floor a little bit. Just take a nice couple deep breaths and just remember all the times that God holds through for you. And just to help you to remember that when you seek his face and you put your trust in him, that you've got so much. You have so much to hope in. You have such an amazing God to trust in. That things will be okay. Just continually to seek him and to know who he is, know his character. And turn to his strength. All right, so now we're going to go ahead. I like to tuck my toes underneath for this. It's totally up to you. And then we're going to rock back onto our heel of that front leg. Try to straighten out this leg. I want you to go ahead and relax your head and neck down. You could do little neck movements, yes and no. Make sure it's nice and relaxed. Take 2 deep breaths here. We're going to rock forward. And then we're going to rock right back. We're going to do a couple back and forth here. Just try to loosen up and just think about his strength and all of the great things that he's done. I always think about the Israelites because God performed so many miracles to them, but they didn't realize all of his strength. They didn't really understand who he was and his character. They weren't seeking his face. They were looking at all of their own circumstances. Even Moses, when God called Moses the first time with the burning bush, he performed all these amazing miracles that he said he would do again to show other people. And he asked Moses to be his instrument. And then Moses said, I'm slow. And then Moses said that he was slow of speech because he had a stutter. So he didn't even connect to the fact that God could overcome that. If he didn't see his promises, that he could, and those miracles as something that God could overcome his shortcomings, or what he perceived as shortcomings. He was instead looking at himself instead of seeking God's face and remembering his promises. All right, so we're going to hold that last one back. This one you can go ahead. Stomach's on your leg, just round and relax. Head and neck down. And just think about areas that you might be seeking something other than his face. Last breath. And then slowly come up. And now we're going to walk that front leg to the side of your mat. You bring it back a little bit if you don't have that much flexibility, if you're like me. So go ahead, try to straighten out your hips a little bit. Then you can walk your forearms down, or you can stay uplifted. Try to find a place where you can relax. You might even want a block or a pillow, whatever's comfortable. I know for a while I was like in between being on my hands and relaxing on my forearms, but like a nice textbook or a pillow will be so much more comfortable than trying to like hover with your triceps. All right, so just go ahead, relax. You can relax your head and neck down too. That normally feels really good. So I'm going to take a couple deep breaths there and just reflect on other ways I can continually to seek his face. All right, 2 more deep breaths. And then slowly come back out of it. And we're just gonna walk that leg back. And then we're gonna switch legs. So bring that opposite leg in front. Your hips probably feel a little bit different at this point. That's normal. We just stretched one, didn't stretch the other. So we're gonna bring that other leg in front. We're gonna stretch out the opposite hip flexor. Really try to drive it in, squeezing those glutes, keeping your hip pointed towards the ground. No rotated hips here. And I want you to think of ways that you can continually remember ways that God has pulled through for you in the past. So think about ways that he's came through that you didn't even think was possible, or that you prayed and then he followed through. Because those build so much faith and so much confidence, and they build your trust in him because you have a whole list of things that he's done for you, or just different ways that you can remember his promises. So if you really like videos, maybe you can make a video or pictures or a journal. Think about something that you can do to remember God's promises and his fulfillment of his promises. And take one more deep breath. Then we're going to rock back onto that heel, and we're going to relax our head and neck down. Just taking 2 breaths here. And we're going to rock forward and back. So really try to press forward when you rock forward, and then press back. Try to straighten that leg. You can even use your hands to kind of press through. But keeping your stomach attached to your leg the whole time supports your back, and I like the way that it feels for me personally. So it's enough for me to do it. Injury prevention. All right, and then we're going to rock back and we're going to hold it for a little bit. Relax your head and neck. You can do little yeses and nos. And rock forward. And now we're going to walk that foot to the opposite side of the mat. You can always have your hand help you to bring it back. And then try to adjust your hips, straighten them out a little bit. And then forearms down, or you can stay up and relax your head and neck down. And just thank God for this time that you have with him, and that he wants you to seek his face continually. Two more breaths here. And then on your next exhale, go ahead slowly, come back out of it. You might want to get into a little cat-cow, really just try to stretch it out real quick. Maybe rock your hips from side to side. But you're done. I hope you enjoyed that flexibility routine, and I hope that you feel closer to God. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day and join me again really soon.